we have not seen Salty Potato play Vox. Normally it's like the Kestrel, for example. So now a ban Catherine makes a lot of sense. But why would they ban Catherine against themselves? Because they can get that Baptiste Cath combo if Fnatic does not ban one of those. So it's kind of a throwaway ban there because you need to force the team to either ban Baptiste or Cath for you.
Yeah, I suppose also trying to remove the possibility of, you know, sending that Black Feather to the lane for the Catherine Baptiste, but that's going to be Salty Potatoes ban anyway, and Fnatic going to answer with an Arden. That's going to be taken off of the table there, so not wanting to have to deal with the gauntlet in those fights, they want that Black Feather to be able to move freely.
And with 4 captains taken off the board, we're going to see those captain pools get pressured quite a bit. There's still options, and you still have Finn, Lance, Fortress, all still available that we have been seeing. Flicker could potentially make an appearance, although we still only see
Finn
that
comes
once.
out. The Finn is a good pick because it counters like a Crow pick, because Finn is so good. Like that Quibble can easily land on a Crow if he's on top of one of the heroes, and he does a good job with Polite Company and that CC. He just counters melee extremely well. So a very smart pick by Salty Potatoes here. So is Fnatic still gonna run that Crow though? Because Finn can also body block those from Hell's Heart, because he can't get stunned.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna run a Krull with a Black Feather, because then you're also just asking for a Rhyme pick to come through as well to have that counter the double melee. So I don't think, because of the Black Feather, I don't think Fnatic are gonna look for a Krull. But they
may do Samuel. I think they may do Samuel, Scarf here. They don't want to pick a melee, so Samuel, Scarf, Sky.
Scarf would make a lot of sense because Scarf is very strong into a Finn. That's just free stacks on your broken mid because Finn cannot dodge a Spitfire.
They probably will not play. I mean, actually, Lance is like the only last captain open for them, unless they want to do like Captain Baptiste or Captain Grumpja or Captain Adagio. But Lance is not really that good into Finn, especially in the late game. But they're going to go ahead and pick it anyways. So that means they want to play an early game competition. So are they going to go ahead and pick a Koshka here, potentially, with the Black Feather? But that does mean a triple melee into a Finn, which is really risky. So they may opt with the Scarf, I think, and just play the poke game. And Scarf is a very safe pick for Fnatic, and they play it really, really well.
Yeah, Scarf definitely something that they have a lot of experience on, and Palmatoro will grab that one for himself. And now, looking over to Salty Potatoes, they need to grab a jungler of their own, something that can go against Scarf.
Yeah, I think Samuel will come out here potentially because they play a lot of... Samuel with Finn is very strong because Finn has the Force Accord, and you also have to block the Oblivion, the Sleep from Samuel. There's 2 ultimates you have to worry about. It can potentially cancel the Scarf out if they time it properly. And it's good to kite with the Finn and the Vox against the Black Feather. So Samuel looks like the best option, but who knows? They may opt for maybe Petal again, but I don't think that will come up for Salty Potatoes, but I think Samuel looks like the best option for them here.
What are your thoughts, Bacon? The Samuel is going to be locked in the end. Still 30 seconds left, but they finish out that composition. So good amount of poke going to be coming out from both junglers in this game, with a beefy front line on either side as well. I think the Black Feather versus Vox is the most different in terms of playstyles across the 3 matchups. But what are the playstyles going to be for the teams looking at this game?
I mean, it's going to be very similar playstyles for both sides. To get a little bit of poking, build up those broken mid stacks for these 2 junglers, and then go all in once you have broken mid stacks built up, or if you see an opportunity to get that ultimate down, or for Samuel to get a good drifting dark angle and have a lot of Malice and Verdicts connect, the jungle play is going to be absolutely integral to this matchup.
Yeah, agree 100%. It's going to come down to junglers and the positioning. If Scarf gets blown up or Samuel gets blown up in the fight, that team's going to win. But I think Fnatic's going to take this one because they're more decisive.
All right, well, we'll get on into this one and see which jungler can take control of things. We've been talking about Palmatoro, but Salty Potatoes are just off the back of a win. We'll see if they can get into the final. Let's get on into this one. Hashtag Vainglory8 on Twitter. Let us know who you're voting for. But it's going to be Fnatic against Salty Potatoes. Game 3, let's get this started.
Mind, body, and soul. I am completely ready to see classed on this Finn. We got another Scarf. We got a little Samuel for the Joker on the flip side. Fnatic and the Salty Potatoes tied up 1-1. Winner goes on to the finals. This should be a pretty good game here.
I agree. I'm actually pretty excited to see this one. I think that Fnatic has looked like the more consistently strong team in the matchup, but when you're against Crystal Ringo, any one mistake against a Hellfire Brew can be really backbreaking, and it was there. The later in the game, actually, the worse that situation gets for you. So, looking at the compositions this time around, Salty Potatoes has something that fights a little bit more fair. It's more of a normal team composition. Crystal Ringo won. There's a lot of considerations for Crucibles coming out from Fnatic. You know, they got to worry about Forced Chord and Oblivion, like we heard Sweej talking about. I think that Fnatic, the onus is really on them to be playing in these fights properly. Salty Potatoes just wants to use their abilities as best they can to disrupt Fnatic's plan.
You know, Jackson, these guys poking back and forth here early on. Classed, he's going to get hit with that impale, but resists, laughs it off. Like he's at a comedy club. No big deal for this Finn, doesn't care. What an exciting opportunity, though, for the Salty Potatoes. You know, to come in, win your challenge battles, make it into Vainglory 8, and then week 1, you're on the edge of knocking off one of the top teams in the VG8 for Europe and moving on to the finals. That's really exciting.
It absolutely is, and you know, they were thinking, oh well, we might have a rematch if we make it. We'll be against Calamity Reborn again. We've seen these guys in the Challenger Series. Calamity Reborn not making it. You did actually see their opponents taking them down, so Dynasty will be awaiting the winner of this matchup.
And who would have predicted that, though? No, I bet 90% of the people would have said Salty Potatoes would have been out and Calamity Reborn would have been moved forward.
Oh, I think that's very likely, given what we saw from Calamity Reborn on game number 1. Very, very crazy stuff. That being said, Fnatic also looked like kind of a new team to me in day number 1, and I think today they've looked good, but not as good. And that's, you know, it's partially because they're against, you know, arguably, this week at least, definitely, the better opponents. But, you know, they've definitely not looked as assertive as they previously have.
Yeah, sometimes when you get your dominance tested a little bit like that, you're not as assertive as you once were. The Salty Potatoes really bringing a bit of energy to the games. I think from the draft to the play style, doing fun stuff. CP Ringo, we don't see a lot. I think the only other player we've seen actually play that, like in the last 6 months, has been Hundor. And Salty Potatoes come out and they're like, you know, we have to win this game. Let's do this.
Oh, did he get it?
Yeah, Class got that.
Class got it. So, yeah, that was really nice for Salty Potatoes. You want to interrupt Scarf's game plan early if possible, and a big part of that is just taking Elder Treant because you clear so quickly. So, really nice strategic play there by Salty Potatoes. Net can't do a lot to stop Class from being annoying either. You can't stun him, so both of your normal tools for harassing the enemy captain kind of a little bit less useful.
Yeah, the only thing he can do is hope that he gets some basics off and out harasses him. But it's going to be really tough at this point, especially Class getting decent levels. Palma, level 5, almost 4 minutes in here. Jungle will be intensifying shortly, but Palma with Net makes his way up in the lane, is just hanging out here. And as Joker wants to hold us, man, if they had got like Impale into Spitfire group, would have been a lot of damage on the Joker. Joker luckily going to be dodging that out as he just tries to hold the lane for a moment. No big deal. Sneaky is back up there. Another thing to mention, you know, Sneaky's Vox. This is a big comfort pick for him.
Oh, absolutely. The Vox has been doing work for Sneaky in the past. I can only imagine that he will continue to be pretty effective on it. See if he can make it happen this game. I think, you know, given the fact that he's off to a great start in terms of farm and stuff, there's nothing stopping him. Net, as I said, is going to have a really tough time messing with either Classed or Sneaky just because Classed on that Finn does so well into him. Already got a Poison Shiv on Sneaky too, bailing out of some rough situations.
Yeah, that'll definitely help him with his sustain up in the lane, and of course just putting a little bit of that harass on the Tetno. He loves that attack speed as well. Really nice item pick up here for him early on. Palma, he's up into the lane, throws a Spitfire. Once again, this is kind of just Scarf, you know, you clear your rotation, you're the jungler, you got a very fast clear, you're going to dip up into the lane, look to either get some harass or maybe see if Sneaky oversteps himself, but it's not really happening right here, right now.
Yeah, and I like Joker rotating up to shove this wave too. It's definitely something that Salty Potatoes can do. They have a lot of ability to push wave, and it forces Palmatora out of his jungle because he's the one who clears wave better out of him and Tetno. So if it's actually going to crash into the turret and there's going to be pressure from Salty Potatoes, you do force a bit of a response. That can be quite good because Palma wants to be abusing the fact that he can farm so quickly in the jungle, and denying that by making him take other things into consideration. Palma already has a Frostburn. That's pretty good. If they get into some fights early, that can also be really nice paired with Tetno for keeping people stuck to the Black Feather, keeping Black Feather stuck to people. Looks like he might be going for a Serpent's Mask second too. That's
You know,
not
this
sure
is
if I agree with that.
actually another game where, who knows, I could be wrong here, but it feels, once again, that Frostburn's not going to be really a big hitting item for this Scarf. You can get a lot more work done. It's so hard for Finn to dodge out those Spitfires, right? Like,
Yeah.
he's such a big target.
Yeah, I think so. The Frostburn is decent against Classed, but it's best against Sneaky on the side of Fnatic. It does let Techno stick to his target a little bit better. Joker should be mostly out of range or position for Palmator to freely be able to proc that. On the other side, I think Frostburn is pretty critical against Blackfeather till he gets Overdrive on Bane of Heart, which is not necessarily something you want to Overdrive if you don't have to. But it does force him away from some power elsewhere else on his kid.
And Class doing a very good job to be the front line for his team at this point. Sneaky really not in danger, as I said it, just curse him, of being hit by the Spitfires when Class is up front there. Palmator doing a good job. Second Spitfire is going to hit him in that round. Drops the goop, ignites it. Very good job. Nice harass out on the Sneaky and Class, just hanging out there. Sneaky not really in danger of being killed, but he has to respect the fact that if he moves forward, trying to just farm easily like he wants to, he could potentially go down. They don't know where Net really is. Net just kind of very patiently waiting in the wings for an impale there. I don't know what that impale was.
He split the difference. I don't know what you were planning on doing there, actually, because you can't stun Class. You're assuming Joker's in the bush, but then you don't have 3 people, so...
He was predicting
go fight.
Joker's movement from the jungle for the game.
But this is the thing, like, even if he was, what do you do afterwards? It's just 2v3. Yeah, interesting play from Netflix. Let's leave it there. Palma is doing a great job of farming up, by the way. Looks like he's considering an Eve second. I think that's smart. You definitely need to have a lot of energy.
Forced the cord, they pulled Palma in. He's level 8 though. He drops a Spitfire. A lot of damage to the Oblivion lands as well. Sneaky doing a good job. Can they follow up with the damage? He's on the net. Sneaky just doesn't want to get under that turret too far unless he get hit by an on point or sat under some goop or something slowed up. They could follow now. Drifting Dark's down. Very nice Drifting Dark. He can follow with Malice and Verdict. Joker's had some really nice Drifting Darks. I wanted to mention earlier. The angle that he's throwing them at gives him almost max efficiency to just kind of ride through that with his Malice and Verdicts.
Yeah, he's been doing a great job. School days, Samuel, taking his geometry classes.
Well done.
Throwback to Worlds. But yeah, I think that last fight was kind of interesting. Techno actually really killed Ned by walking close to him when he was about to get attacked by Vox and have a bounce. Overall, I think that, positioning there was a little dicey from Palma. He'd get a reflex block sooner than later against this Samuel Finn combination, that's for sure.
Man, we got 3 infusions out. Oh, a 2-man Impale coming out. Class very low. Has to pop his fountain to stay in fighting shape. Joker's here, though. He's ready to defend his team, but that Drifting Dark came out early, and it didn't quite connect the way you would have hoped if you were the Samuel. And now, at this point, Fnatic, they're really not too threatened. They're not sitting on full health bars, but they have a massive advantage. They have the fountain. And we'd expect them to look to try and take something. Class burning down. Look at the percentage burn, doing so much work to him.
Yeah, I'd like to see Palma finish up this Eve so he's got more energy for that kind of play next time. He can honestly just he can take down Class very easily if Class doesn't pull the trigger on like Forced Cord or War Treads engage, just by poking him out. Also, I wouldn't hate it if Palmator maxed his Overdrive. Getting that additional stack on someone like Class can be pretty dirty. And it's also going to be kind of difficult, I think, for him to get good Dragon.
We'll see. It's one of those things you really gotta play to. I mean, exactly how you want to play the fight. What's going to be the best thing? Measure, weigh in all that efficiency. We'll see how it comes out. It's going to be very interesting.
All right, we got an infusion on Joker here. Kind of an interesting timing. He actually popped it. He didn't just put it in his inventory, so they definitely want to do something. They've got cooldowns. All Fnatic and the choke point. Their Crucible. There is a Crucible on net. They can avoid a good engagement if they want to.
Now, there have been a lot of infusions coming out this game, but in particular, this round of infusions from the Salty Potatoes I really like. Just because they already have this turret, if they win a fight at all, like even if they don't win, they just force them back, that means, oh, there's your Forced Cord, nice Crucible coming out. And it looks like it's going to be the engage. The Oblivion will be coming out. Dragon's Breath around the bottom. This is Palmatoro finding his way up and able to take out the Joker. The Joker getting melted down. First blood. We're 10 minutes in. They're going to get the second blood. Sneaky's down. Fnatic biding their time and then striking like lightning. That was a really clean call. They should be able to get at least a turret and a jungle half, maybe even a gold mine. I don't know.
See, on the contrary to what we were talking about before, I really dislike the infusions there. I feel like it was going to be quite difficult to find a good fight now that Crucible was on Net Toilette and a Reflex Block was on Palma and Tenno. So everyone had the bailout card. And on top of that, it's not as if they paired it with the spike in other items. Like, the Joker got the infusion before his tier 2, his second tier 3 item, sorry. So it wasn't really synced up for anything. It wasn't synced up for any particular objective they could take, because it's pretty difficult to push tier 2 turrets. The best outcome for that play was probably getting gold mine, but they pushed land. Fnatic punished them very hard for that as well, because they were actually popped. It's not like we get to see a sell back here from Salty Potatoes for full value. The Joker's now even just sort of delayed in his.
Yeah, I mean, it really backfired on them. I mean, more than even the gold miner, which would have been a great objective to take. My thought was, don't commit to a fight that you have the potential of losing, but use it to bully your opponents forward or backwards so that you can start to take a little bit of map control. You know, if they could have started to pop some of those scout traps on the left tri-brush and the left mustache brush, the middle area of this map, it could have been pretty good for them. But that was, yeah, huge backfire there.
I like that plan, but you've got to not commit with Forced Accord for that to happen, right? I think, you know, Salt Potatoes thought they saw some kind of a window, maybe having flashbacks to the previous fight where they caught Palma in the same position. Didn't pan out for them. Now Salty Potatoes are getting flanked here.
Looks like they have a decent angle. Sneaky, I'm surprised that he didn't just back up right away. Kind of hanging out there. His class starting to take a bit of damage. Palma has that broken myth. He can start to stack up that BN. And class such a good target. It's like maybe class isn't like the target that you want to burn down, but you just boom, throw the Spitfire, get a couple stacks on him, and switch over to someone else.
Honestly, I like the idea of just burning class down. It's pretty difficult to get in position to kill Sneaky or Joker without going through class. So why not take class to like 25% health with poke and make him initiate? Like, it's very hard for class to do anything except for with War Treads. And if he War Treads in, like, he's forcing his teammates to commit, and his teammates don't necessarily want him that close range. So this is ultimately not a bad decision for Fnatic if they go for that poke. Right now they're actually going for the gold mine, see what happens after this pause resolves. Pretty cool watching these sort of sparkly fireworks with that scarf.
Yeah.
Background.
I want to mention I like that the Joker's gone for Broken Myth in his build this game. We're seeing a lot of the Frostburn right into Eve. But if you look at the damage output on their team, they don't really have what they need, especially when you look at Tetno, who's sitting on Serpent's Mask, Poison Shiv. Like, he's got so much sustain. With the Aegis, a little bit of armor as well. There's no way that Sneaky can burst him down.
Yeah, that is a very good point. We're actually seeing Broken Myth on Palma's side too. We've seen a lot of Broken Myth today, which is funny because, you know, it is something which fell by the wayside for a little bit as second item. We were seeing a lot more for quite some time of the Frostburn into Eve or the Frostburn into Shatterglass. So I don't dislike it. It certainly does give you, in an extended fight, a decent spike in the mid game. And you know, when you're playing with the comps that we have in this game, you're expecting somewhat extended fights. Plus, it sort of means that you have a very unexpectedly big power spike when you pick up like a Shatterglass third, because both of those items do so much the more crystal power you have that, you know, at least I find, you know, if you're playing like a weapon carry, for example, and you pick up your third item, sometimes the difference between your second and your third doesn't feel as big as your first and your second. But it's different if you have Frostburn, Broken Myth into Shatterglass. That's a big spike.
Yeah, definitely a huge spike that these guys would love to have. Both sitting on a battery though right now, so we'll see what route they take. A good chance we might see that Eve come out. It would make sense for Palmatoro. Joker though, he's gonna have to be a damage threat this game. I mean, there's just no way around it. A lot of infusions coming out. It's Sneaky still sitting on one, has put him a little bit behind, and he's gonna, my opinion, I think he's gonna need that breaking point to really have an impact in these fights.
I'd agree with that. I think that there is enough ability for Fnatic to weather the storm and build up, for example, the broken mist stacks, that they have to have some comparable threat in the later stages of a given fight. Sneaky having a breaking point is critical for that. Tetno is likely going to get one a little bit later on too, though. So he is going to offer big damage. Actually, maybe not.
Wow, Bonesaw?
Yeah, that's kind of interesting.
I mean, this could go along the lines of them actually just being like, well, if Class wants the front line, let him. We'll just burn through him.
You're already going to kill him super quick with Scarf, though.
I mean, if he starts to pick up a little more defense, it shouldn't be so easy. It'll be easy for him to find damage, but I mean, I guess if Class just sits there.
This is an interesting pickup. We'll see how it pans out. It wouldn't surprise me if he actually swapped it later, because Tetno's gold is crazy right now. Like, he's on 180 farm at 14 minutes. He's doing really good. If he finishes his last defensive item, and then sort of has a couple of fights with the Bonesaw, I think Bonesaw is better right now than Breaking Point, because you're shredding through the limited amount of armor, and you're going to be able to burst people quite quickly. Whereas later in the game, when they have more defense and more damage, I think you want Breaking Point so that you can play a slower fight and sort of back up Palma in the later stages of the fight. I don't know. Maybe that's going a level too deep. But I think that
we might need to go one level deeper.
I'm not sure what one level deeper than that is. Like
I drifted off into Daydream City on that one. I was like, wait, how far could we go?
All right, well, Kraken quite easily taken there by Fnatic. No response from Salty Potatoes. I think Salty Potatoes are conceding a little bit much on the map for my liking. You do not scale the same way Black Feather Scarf does. But we'll see. Sneaky and Joker, they're no slouches. They got good damage late too.
We're going to keep our eyes also. Can Class find a good quibble? You know, if he can land a nice quibble, locking down one of these targets, two of these targets in these fights could be great for his team to follow up on. It's another thing that, you know, you wanna reflex on the Force to Cord or the Oblivion or one of these, you know, maybe the Wait for it, but a quibble is something you have to think about as well. Class doing a good job to be the front line while also dodging out Spitfires. Spitfire lands onto Sneaky, drifting darts out. Joker throwing Mouse and Verdict behind himself is probably going to regret that one. Plus, not having drifting dart for 10 seconds is going to hurt. Nice Force to Cord attempt, but that's going to be blocked off. That was the Crucible, plus also the Aegis burn for Tetno. A little bit surprising and maybe some miscommunication or Tetno not quite thinking that that was going to be the Crucible coming out.
Palma missed like 3 or 4 Spitfires there, but still was threatening enough that some Potatoes had to back away. This is definitely getting really scary. Salty Potatoes. Only 2 kills 16 minutes in. This is a very slow game. Curious to see how these teams perform against Dynasty later. Whoever wins it. Because Dynasty certainly a bit different team in terms of pace setting.
Yeah, well, those teams were watching early. I feel like you could really punish Dynasty's movements. They were like both of their games. They were just like, boom, we're gonna go as 3. We're gonna do this very obvious. Take your mid, take the Treant, and then go from there.
All right, Salty Potatoes. Let's think about their ways back into this game. Obviously, a big Force to Cord can be huge. Same with Oblivion, but getting that window is not easy. They're doing a good job of clearing out vision, though. That's the first step to finding a pick like that. Make sure your opponents don't know that you're throwing out the Force to Cord, otherwise it's a pretty easy block a lot of the time.
Net also had really interesting positioning coming from the top side while his team was down by the shop. I think it kind of played a little bit of a mind game with Salty Potatoes League, where we're really not sure how this engages.
Okay. Keep your eyes on Tetno here. What does he buy? He's got enough money to get tier 3 boots. I'm really... Oh.
Tetno was like, yo, I gotta check out Vainglory Fire real quick.
What's the next item in my build again? I'm actually so tilted by that pause. I just want to see what he's gonna buy. I think he's going to go for tier 3 boots and Infusion. I'm curious which tier 3 boots. I think there's actually a case to be made that Halcyon Chargers are pretty good, as well as the normal tier 3 boots. Just because, firstly, additional sprint is nice, but also the cooldown does more for Blackfeather than a lot of Bruisery heroes. He will have a lot more dashes and on points and Bruise offensives if he gets it. Then after that, yeah, that's when it really gets interesting. He spends his money at all again, whether he replaces the Bonesaw or not. It was certainly a great pickup early because there's so little armor that the amount of shred that it did was pretty substantial.
I say sell the Aegis, get a breaking point.
Selling the Aegis is pretty scary, though. The Joker does have pretty high amounts of damage here.
Look at this. Look at all the armor on the other side. Usually about this time, I would just sell all my items. I would go full CP. show up, full CP. You hit him with the on point. Sneaky's like, what? What's going on here?
See, this is the crazy thing, right? Like, let's say it's legitimately like pretty late game, and you can get maybe a 75% return. So your full build, you sell all of your weapon items, and you get like -1 item, but your crystal.
Mm-hmm.
That play can actually work because of the defense. This early, not so much. To be clear, but
yeah,
that surprise factor can be huge later on.
Yep. Well, guys, this is an interesting moment here. As I take a second to appreciate the competition coming out from both these teams. Salty Potatoes. I mean, what a ride! What a wild ride! You know, Sneaky. He's earned his right to be here before. Things didn't work out. He fought right back. Here they are, with the chance, backs against the wall, but with a chance still to be moving forward here in week 1 of Split 2. Exciting stuff. We're gonna get unpaused right as Fnatic decides to move over, take out this Crystal Sentry. Jackson, I'm telling you, man, this next minute or two is going to define this game. Salty Potatoes need to make a big play, or this is gonna be Fnatic's to take.
And they're actually taking a bit of damage there. Sneaky on the front line is scary. You either have to commit to dealing with him or you gotta back up.
Oh, a Dragon's Breath from Palmator. He just winds it up, burning Sneaky down 10 over the top side of 2. Fnatic burn through these potatoes. Oh my goodness, these potatoes are more than well done. They are burnt. Take them off of the grill. They are done. Fnatic have done phenomenal work here. What a fight, right? They just destroyed. There was nothing they could do.
That was brutal. I mean, really, really difficult to deal with that much damage coming out of a Scarf in the late game. This is why I think, to a certain extent, Salty Potatoes missed a bit of a mid-game spike that maybe they had. Regardless, Fnatic played very well. Only losing that middle game due to one mistake at the end, having a clean 5-0 in the third game. Fnatic versus Dynasty is going to be a great matchup in the finals.
Wow, Fnatic looking good versus a Dynasty team that looks like they've been putting in some real serious practice. You're right. That is going to be a really good matchup. Well, Salty Potatoes can't feel too bad about that, and I guess they still have a chance to get maybe even a little more in the point board later. But for that, guys, let's get set up for these finals and go and throw it back over to our desk.